Hello and welcome to Lost Love Chronicles.
Dear listeners, before we get started, drop a quick hi in the comments and let us know where you're tuning in from. Also, if you have any suggestions for us to make the channel better, please let us know. Now let's start with the story. So yeah, my girlfriend, ex now, Bailey, decided it would be fun to flirt with and kiss some rich stranger at a bar. Right in front of me. Like I was some invisible intern she brought along to hold her purse. Then she publicly mocked me like she was auditioning for Mean Girls, the Wall Street edition. I'm Henry, 27. I was dating this chick, Bailey, she's 25, with the kind of face that could get her free drinks on a tarmac and a body that made yoga pants look underqualified. She worked in sales or marketing or one of those corporate mystery zones where people smile through spreadsheets. I worked in a different department, which was a blessing. I mean, imagine dealing with someone who turns passive aggression into a second language and also controls the team calendar. She came from a suburban background, super basic, honestly. White picket fence, golden retriever, PDA mom, the whole starter pack. Nothing tragic, nothing dramatic. She thinks having dial-up until 2009 was trauma. Me? I'm doing all right. I've got my own place. No roommates trying to steal my Pop-Tarts or borrow my socks for months. My bills are paid on time. I know how to use a screwdriver, and I don't ask my parents for rent. That's like adulthood platinum status these days. But the true crown jewel of my life? My 1969 Chevy Chevelle. Midnight blue, white racing stripes, chrome rims that shine like guilt on a preacher. It's art on wheels. I inherited it from my uncle when he passed 5 years ago. Back then, it wasn't a car, it was a tetanus trap. A rusted-out skeleton on blocks, the kind of thing raccoons make into a condo. Most people would have taken one look and gone, yeah, that's going straight to the junkyard. But not me. No sir. I saw potential, like spotting the nerdy kid in high school and betting he'd own Amazon someday. I poured every spare dollar and weekend into that beast. Learned to wrench like my life depended on it, because frankly, sometimes it felt like it did. And I didn't go to some fancy auto school either. Nope, I got my degree from the University of YouTube and the forums of randomdudeswhofixstuff.net. I watched tutorials hosted by a guy named Big Dave who films everything in his driveway while yelling at his kids in the background. One time he fixed a carburetor while holding a sandwich. A sandwich. Now that's real mentorship. The first real win with the Chevelle? Getting the damn engine to turn over after 6 months of blood, sweat, and yelling at inanimate objects. I swear, when it finally coughed to life like an asthmatic bear, I nearly cried. Second win. Taking it around the block for the first time. It was like guiding Frankenstein's monster out for a joyride. Loud, slightly terrifying, and ridiculously satisfying. By the time I finally finished the paint job last year, midnight blue with white racing stripes that could seduce a traffic cop, I'd invested more hours into that car than most people put into a college degree. And honestly, I think my diploma has better resale value. So when I brought Bailey to meet the guys for the first time, I thought, cool, let's see if she can hang. And surprisingly, she did. She laughed at Blake's dumb jokes, like really dumb, the kind of jokes that make you question whether he should be allowed to vote. And she didn't even flinch when Landon started going off about his new PC build. Most people glaze over when he starts talking about GPUs and thermal paste like it's national news, but she nodded along like she cared. Hell, she even parked herself on the couch during game nights, scrolling through her phone but occasionally glancing up to shout, "Nice," when one of us pulled off a clutch kill or a clean headshot. Respectable. Now, Landon's been my day one since high school. Guy's a wizard with anything that plugs into a wall. I once bricked my PC trying to overclock it. Don't ask. And he rebuilt it like he was fixing a Lego set. The man's like a human cheat code. Blake joined our squad in college. He's our wild card. Shows up Monday morning with stories like, "So I accidentally got into a boat race with a Russian guy in Miami," and then proceeds to crush it at his finance job by 9 a.m. The guy can party till 4 and still write emails with the grammar of an Oxford professor by 7. I don't trust him, but I admire him. Anyway, things with Bailey were pretty smooth at first. Weekend dates, weeknight Netflix and chill. It was your standard modern romance template. We'd do dinner, watch a movie, and occasionally pretend we liked the same music. But then, about 8 months in, she started tossing out these cute little comments. You know, the ones that are technically questions, but feel more like passive-aggressive Yelp reviews. "Don't you think that car is too old?" No. That car has more personality than most of my coworkers. "How long are you going to play that game tonight?" Long enough to forget you just asked me that. Nothing big, mind you. Just constant little jabs. Like emotional paper cuts. Death by 1,000 sighs. One time, I was under the Chevelle fixing the exhaust system, literally covered in grease, hands full, metal shavings probably floating into my eyeballs, when she shows up unannounced and just stands there, sighing, loudly. like she was auditioning for the role of disappointed girlfriend number one in a student film. I rolled out from under the car, wiping my hands on an old t-shirt, and gave her my best what now? Look, I thought we were going to that new sushi place tonight, she says. I blinked. We weren't. She huffed. You didn't say anything. I did. I literally told you I was working on the car tonight. And that was that. Here's the weird thing. I always made time for her. Always. Like, I could have had a raid scheduled with the boys, the kind that takes planning, spreadsheets, snacks, and possibly a small prayer circle. But if Bailey wanted to go out, guess who was grabbing keys and pretending to enjoy overpriced tapas? If she wanted to binge some terrible reality show where people scream in hot tubs and throw drinks over sushi, I'd pause my game, drop the controller like it was on fire, and turn into her personal snuggle-based audience. Applause optional. I'd even take her for rides in the Chevelle, which, mind you, is not just a car. It's the car. My baby. My actual metal soulmate. And she'd act like she was having fun, wind in her hair, blasting classic rock like we were in a movie trailer. Then later she'd hit me with, it's kind of an old man car, don't you think? Like, ma'am, you just rode in the chariot of the gods and had the nerve to call it a retirement mobile? Then she started doing this super fun thing, forgetting we had plans. I'd show up to her apartment, buttoned up, hair combed, smelling like cologne that cost more than I care to admit, and she'd open the door in sweats, hair up in that chaotic bun of I have absolutely no intention of leaving this house. I'd be like, hey, babe, dinner reservation, remember? And she'd go all wide-eyed like I just told her aliens landed. I don't remember you confirming. So I pull out the receipts, aka our actual texts, and suddenly she remembers, but now it's my fault because I didn't remind her enough. Right. Next time I'll send a singing telegram and skywrite it over her building. Then there was the car meet incident. Oh boy. We roll up with the Chevelle, and I'm living my best life. Car guys are admiring the paint, asking about the engine. I'm in my zone, talking restoration, suspension, fuel delivery, happy place. One guy, total gearhead, comes up and starts grilling me about the specs. Bailey's standing next to me like she's waiting for a bus in Antarctica, arms crossed, face blank, fully checked out. Then, mid-sentence, this guy mentions he works at some tech startup, and suddenly she springs to life like a Disney animatronic. Oh, that's so interesting. Do you have a card? She says, like she's networking for LinkedIn and Tinder at the same time. Right in front of me. Later I bring it up, like, hey, that felt kind of off. And she hits me with, you're being paranoid. Oh, okay. So I'm crazy now. And that was just the start. The mind games leveled up fast. We'd make plans to watch a movie, simple night, popcorn, maybe a blanket fort if I was feeling nostalgic. She'd show up 2 hours late, talking about how work ran long or traffic was a nightmare. Meanwhile, her Instagram story showed her 3 Moscow mules deep at happy hour with her coworkers, cheersing like it's a shampoo commercial. I'd call her out, and suddenly I'm the controlling one, for checking her social media. Like, sorry for using the literal evidence you posted. But one night, that night's seared into my brain. It was my buddy Mike's birthday bash. Arcade bar downtown. Retro games, neon lights, adult Capri Suns, the works. I'd been hyped about it for weeks. Bailey knew. She even fake smiled about it multiple times. Then, day of, she texts me. Bailey, babe, I'm so sorry. My mom needs help with something. Total emergency. I can't make it. And I go, no worries. Family comes first. Like the supportive dumbass I was. 3 hours later, Landon sends me a photo. It's Bailey, on a rooftop bar, holding a mimosa, surrounded by her girlfriends, laughing like she just got accepted into Hogwarts. I stared at that photo like it owed me money. Next day, I confront her. So rooftop bar, huh? Thought you were rescuing your mom from a burning building. She looks at me with the audacity of a cat knocking over a glass and goes, I just needed a night out. I was afraid you'd be mad if I told you the truth. What? At that point, even Landon, my chillest, least dramatic friend, pulled me aside and went, bro, she's kind of messing with your head. Landon told me one night while we were in the Gulag on Warzone, voice chat all serious between gunfire. Bro, she's kind of messing with your head. Right in between calling out enemies and reviving me. And Blake? He didn't hesitate to chime in. Yeah, man. My cousin's ex did the same thing. Played mind games like she was prepping for the psychological Olympics. I should have listened. I really should have. But you know how it is when you're deep in it. Knee-deep in relationship trench warfare, wearing blinders made of denial and nostalgia. You convince yourself it's just a rough patch when it's actually a demolition zone. Then Friday night happened. And please, I need you to read this part with full focus, like it's a final boss fight cutscene, because this is where things go off the rails. So earlier that day, Bailey tells me she's having dinner with some college friends. Totally chill. I even told her, cool, have fun, Like a supportive boyfriend who has no idea he's about to walk face first into betrayal, wearing cologne and clean jeans. That same night, I had plans to hit up this spot called The Local with my guy Jake from work. But Jake had to bail last minute. Kid got sick. Total dad mode. So I'm like, all right, solo mission. No biggie. Then the first red flag waved like a matador in my face. That morning, I caught her scrolling through my phone while I was in the shower. Straight up standing there, holding it like she was reviewing security cam footage. I step out, dripping wet and confused. What are you doing? She doesn't even blink. Just checking the time, she says, and puts it down like she didn't just go full MI6 on my texts. I mean, lady, the microwave tells time too. Why not go spy on that? And yeah, my phone's got a passcode. But I made the rookie mistake of letting her see me punch it in once. Just once. You think she's not paying attention, but they've got memory like the NSA. Anyway, later that night, I walk into The Local around 10 p.m., expecting to grab a beer, maybe chat with a stranger about classic muscle cars. You know, normal guy stuff. But no. I walk in and boom. First thing I see is Bailey. Not just sitting with a dude. No. She is practically mounted on him. Full hand on the thigh. Eyes sparkling like she just discovered Bitcoin in 2008. Giggling at everything he says like he's doing a live Netflix special. And I just freeze. My brain's like, brain, nope. Error 404, logic not found. For a solid 10 seconds I just stood there, stuck in a Windows XP loading screen. Like, surely I've walked into the wrong universe. This can't be reality. So I walk over, not angry, not yelling, just genuinely confused. Like I was trying to solve a murder mystery and just discovered the main suspect is my girlfriend. Bailey, I said. She looks up at me, and for a split second, I saw it. That tiny flicker of SHD. Asterisk, but then bam. Reboot mode activated. Face blank. Voice calm. Can I help you? She says. Like she's a Walgreens cashier, and I'm asking where the shampoo is. The guy she's with straightens up like he's just been interrupted from reading stock reports. Is there a problem? He asks, tone all smug. Dude had trust fund energy, expensive watch, tailored suit, perfect haircut that probably requires a subscription, and a Tesla key fob on the table like it's his personality. I mean, let's be real. This guy's never changed his own oil or fixed anything around the house. This guy, Tesla guy, he's got that smug look like he's never been told no in his entire life. You know the type. Probably thinks Whole Foods is affordable and valet is mandatory. I'm just trying to keep it together. I'm just wondering what's going on, I said, locking eyes with Bailey. And that is when she pulled the dirtiest, low-down move I've ever experienced. Like full-on betrayal speedrun mode. She turns to Captain Organic Skincare and goes, loud enough to make heads turn, "This is that creepy guy from work I told you about. He's been following me around the office for months." Oh, my soul just packed its bags and tried to leave my body. The whole place went dead silent. The bartender paused mid-pour. The air shifted like I'd just been declared the villain in a Lifetime movie. And I could feel it. That sudden energy in the room. Like everyone was collectively deciding, welp, time to tackle the creep. This big dude at the next table looked like he eats kettlebells for breakfast, turns around, eyeballing me like he's about to launch a citizen's arrest. Then Bailey, ever the actress, turns to a waitress walking by and goes, "Can you get someone? This guy won't leave me alone." I swear, the waitress didn't even blink, immediately reaching for her little walkie-talkie like she was reporting an alien abduction. And then security guy enters the chat. Dude's walking over with his hand already hovering over his radio like he's about to call for backup, a drone strike, and maybe Landon Neeson. Tight black t-shirt with security printed so tight across his chest, it was basically screaming at me. Meanwhile, two guys at the bar, probably accountants with delusions of grandeur, stand up like they're about to be the heroes of that night. They saved the blonde from the office creep. And Tesla guy? He's just sitting there with a look like this is the highlight of his week. The smugness on his face was so intense it had its own gravitational pull. He was sipping his cocktail like, "Yes, dance for me, peasant." But then, right as the walls started closing in, something clicked in my brain. Not panic, not anger, just clarity. Like that moment in movies when time slows down and the main character suddenly gets it. I could see the whole scene from above. Like I was Neo in the Matrix, and Bailey had just thrown the dumbest punch imaginable. So instead of freaking out or flipping a table like they were clearly expecting me to, I took a breath and decided, you know what? Let's flip the script. I blinked, looked at Bailey like she'd just told me she'd joined a cult, and said, completely calm, "Oh, I didn't realize you had a boyfriend." And let me tell you, Tesla guy's face twitched. Just a little. Like someone unplugged his emotional software for a second. He looked over at Bailey, then back at me like, "Wait, what?" The security guy paused mid-step. The waitress froze mid-radio. Even the two bar bros sat back down slightly, sensing the plot twist. Bailey jumped in, her voice going from confident to scrambling like a glitchy GPS. No, he's just some weirdo from. We work together, I said, cutting her off, smooth as butter on a hot day. Marketing department. Different teams. Then I turned to Tesla Guy, giving him the most polite, apologetic expression I could muster. The kind of face you'd use if you just accidentally parked in someone's reserved spot, but left them a handwritten note and a Starbucks gift card. Man, I'm really sorry. I looked at Tesla Guy, still with that same calm, polite tone, and said, if I'd known she was with someone, I never would have hooked up with her last weekend. Bailey's face? Absolutely priceless. Her mouth dropped open like her Wi-Fi signal cut out mid-sentence. Eyes wide, blinking, trying to process, like she was buffering. Just stuck on that spinning wheel of denial. Security guy, who up until then was one sir, I need you to leave away from body slamming me into the jukebox, crossed his arms and leaned in slightly. Now he was interested. And Tesla Guy? His whole expression changed. That smug stock photo grin disappeared faster than Bailey's credibility. What are you talking about? He asked, voice sharp now. That calm, exfoliated energy? Gone. Replaced with cold, suspicious, did I just get played? Vibes. I didn't even flinch. Just pulled out my phone, opened the gallery, scrolled exactly 3 swipes. Because yes, I'm that guy who organizes his photos by event, date, and lighting quality, and found the golden ticket. It was a picture from the previous weekend. Me and Bailey, in bed, her head on my chest. Both of us smiling like we were the lead characters in a Netflix rom-com that ends with betrayal. Last Saturday, I said, holding the phone up. Really sorry, dude. I had no idea she was seeing someone. Tesla Guy leaned over to look. Bailey? Her face had gone full HP printer low on toner, drained, patchy, malfunctioning. He's lying, she stammered, already spiraling. That's an old photo. I calmly turned the phone around and pointed at the date stamp in the corner. 6 days ago. Boom. Roasted. The waitress. Yeah, the same one Bailey had tried to weaponize against me earlier? She was fully invested now. Leaned in like she was watching her favorite drama unfold live, popcorn pending. Security guy? Oh, he was enjoying this way too much. His stance shifted into this is better than cable. Tesla Guy turned to her, his voice low and sharp. You told me you were at your sister's last weekend. I shrugged. I can show you our texts from that night too, if you want. I tapped my screen, opening the chat thread like I was opening evidence exhibit A. She sent me her location pin from my place. Right here. And see? She even sent me that lingerie pic right before coming over. Now look, I'm not a savage. I didn't actually show him the lingerie pic. I'm not trying to get kicked out of a bar for flashing digital underwear. But mentioning it, that was enough. That look on Tesla Guy's face went from I'm confused to I need hand sanitizer for my soul in 0.3 seconds. He stood up, grabbed his jacket, and slapped some cash on the table like he was closing the worst deal of his life. Don't bother, he said. We're done here. Wait, I can explain. Bailey blurted, voice cracking like a middle school band trumpet. But it was too late. He was already walking out. Straight line. No hesitation. Probably Googling how to get emotional damage refunded via Apple Pay. I just stood there for a second, letting the silence settle in like fresh snow after an avalanche of truth. Every person within earshot was staring, not even pretending not to. Some phones were out. I'm probably on TikTok by now under hashtag Chevelle Revenge. The waitress, the one Bailey wanted to get me removed, was now watching me like I was the hero in this telenovela. Enjoy your night, I said to Bailey, and turned to leave. As I walked past the security guy, he gave me a subtle nod and whispered, nice move, bro. I swear, if I wasn't emotionally fried, I would have fist bumped him. Behind me, I heard Bailey start crying. Not like a quiet, reflective I made poor life choices cry. No, this was full-blown ugly sobbing. The kind that's loud enough to echo and dramatic enough to make strangers uncomfortable. Like she was auditioning for a soap opera on full volume. I didn't look back. I wasn't giving her that scene. Not tonight. The second I stepped outside and felt the fresh air hit me, I pulled out my phone, opened our group chat with Landon and Blake, and typed. You won't believe what just happened. I didn't even go home that night. I drove straight to Landon's place where he and Blake were hosting one of their legendary poker nights. Walked in like I was the protagonist of some gritty revenge movie, minus the trench coat and slow-motion music. First thing I did, blocked Bailey. Phone, blocked. Social media, gone. Deleted, erased, vanished like I was scrubbing a hard drive for the FBI. I didn't care what narrative she was about to spin. She'd already shown me who she was. I'd seen the live performance. No encore needed. I walk in and Blake's already 3 energy drinks deep, eyes wide like an anime character, vibrating slightly. The moment he sees me, He nearly jumps out of his chair. Bro, you better tell me everything now. I didn't even sit down right away. Just laid it all out. The dinner lie, the Tesla clown, the public betrayal, and the plot twist ending. Landon and Blake sat there, mouths open, chips forgotten, just absorbing every twist like they were watching a courtroom drama unfold in surround sound. Landon blinked and said, Bro, what the hell? That's some cold-blooded chess move you pulled. He leaned back like he needed a breather. Most guys would have gone nuclear. Like flip a table, get banned from the bar kind of nuclear. Blake couldn't even speak. He was just wheezing, shaking his head. Dude, the date stamp on the photo? That's like catching someone with the murder weapon still in their hand. He actually wiped away a tear. Drama queen. We were mid-poker hand. Blake was all in on pocket dates for no reason, when suddenly my phone exploded. Not literally, but close. Calls, texts, notifications pouring in like I'd just leaked government secrets. Bailey was calling from numbers I didn't recognize like she was using burner phones from a spy movie. Then came the texts from her friends, her roommate, random people I'd never even met. Suddenly, I was the villain in a story I didn't know existed. Screenshots started rolling in. Messages where she told her friends I was obsessed with her, that I'd been stalking her for months. Like, sure Bailey, I totally spent months in a trench coat with binoculars just hoping to catch a glimpse of your daily Starbucks order. Landon grabbed my phone, held it up like he was performing dramatic theater, and read one out loud in a high-pitched, nasal voice. You're going to regret humiliating her like that. Then he added in his own improv. You'll rue the day. Rue it. Blake nearly fell off his chair laughing. Bro, the only thing you're going to regret is not filming her face when you showed him that pic. And it didn't stop. It was like watching a clown car of drama. Every 5 minutes, something new popped out. Her roommate texted me, full-on therapist mode, saying I was emotionally abusive for exposing her. Like I'd just announced her credit card debt on live TV. Then, this was the best part. A random dude I'd never even heard of, much less met, DMs me with the most cliché tough guy message. Better watch your back, punk. Like, okay chat. Real original. You want to duel at high noon too? Landon and Blake? Absolutely loving it. They turned it into a game, reading each new message in increasingly absurd voices. British butler. Southern belle. Landon even did one as a 1940s noir detective. She had legs for days and drama for miles. Blake tossed more chips into the pot and said, how much you want to bet she's telling everyone you two were on a break or some BS? Landon shook his head, sipping his soda like it was whiskey. Nah, she's gonna say he was just a friend and he overreacted. Both wrong. The real story she started spreading? That I'd been stalking her for months. That we'd never even dated. That I'd photoshopped those pictures of us together. Absolutely insane. That Monday, I showed up to work early, like before the try-hard intern with something to prove kind of early. Walked in with purpose, laptop bag in hand, like I had a corporate mission from God. Went straight to my manager and said, hey, I think I need to move closer to the design team. Cross-functional synergy. Collab opportunities. Big marketing push. You know all the buzzwords. He blinked twice, nodded, and said, sounds good. Didn't even ask questions. The man heard cross-functional and mentally checked out. Bless his heart. By noon, I had moved to the other side of the office, miles away from Bailey and the land of petty drama. I spent the morning setting up my gear like I was deploying a command center. Dual monitors, ergonomic keyboard. Even my mini desk cactus made the move. IT dude helped me reconnect everything. Shout out to Greg in IT. Legend. He didn't ask why I was moving either. Just gave me a knowing look and plugged in my Ethernet cable like a silent bro handshake. By lunchtime, it was like I had always sat there. Like the marketing gods had intended it from the beginning. And the silence? Oh, that must have bugged Bailey more than anything. No confrontation. No fight. Just corporate ghosting. She tried for 2 weeks straight. I'd be mid-email and suddenly she'd appear at my new desk like a jump scare. Hey, can we talk? Sorry, got a call. What about now? Back-to-back meetings, all week. Tight schedule. She waited by the coffee machine, once like a caffeine-fueled stalker. Tried catching me by the elevator. I stepped into the stairwell like I was training for a fitness challenge. Every time she reached out, I hit her with the not-interested energy of a man who'd seen too much. And the more I ignored her, the more unhinged she got. Classic. Then came Kendra. Ah yes, Kendra, her smug HR BFF with that permanent I read one psychology article in Cosmo expression. The kind of woman who once told me my classic Chevelle screamed insecurity, but said it like she was diagnosing me with a terminal case of toxic masculinity. I overheard her once in the break room whispering to Bailey, you should have ghosted him way earlier. That whole gamer thing is a red flag. Right. Heaven forbid a man has a hobby that doesn't involve brunch and podcasts. Then Kendra took it up a notch, started scheduling fake meetings with me. Real calendar invites. Subject: follow up on employee engagement strategy, which is HR code for trap. One time I walked into the conference room, and it was just her sitting there like she was waiting for her villain monologue cue. We need to talk about what happened. I didn't say a word, just turned around and left like I was exiting a bad sequel. I could feel her blinking behind me, probably mid-sentence. But the worst? The absolute bottom of the barrel? The parking garage ambush. I was walking to my car, keys in hand, just trying to go home and maybe live a normal, trauma-free evening, when she straight up materialized from behind a concrete pillar. Like Jason Voorhees in a pencil skirt. "You need to hear my side," she said, stepping in front of the driver's door like she was filming an apology video. Nope, didn't say a word. Just walked around the car, got in from the passenger side, locked the doors like I was avoiding a zombie attack, and backed out while she stood there yelling into the exhaust. And then, because apparently this wasn't unhinged enough, I came in one morning to find a handwritten letter on my desk. 4 pages, front and back, like it was a rejected novel manuscript. It was Bailey, of course. The letter was a masterpiece of gaslighting calligraphy. Her whole pitch? That I'd misunderstood everything, and she was just trying to protect herself at the bar. I didn't even bother reading the whole letter. 4 pages, front and back? What is this, the Bailey Manifesto? Nah. I took a picture of it, sent it to Landon and Blake with the caption LOL, and fed that drama straight into the shredder like it owed me money. A few days later, Blake, who works in the same building but for a different company, caught her trying to corner me in the lobby. She did that thing where she pretended to casually bump into me, but it was more choreographed than a TikTok dance. I sidestepped her with the precision of a ninja avoiding HR paperwork. After she finally stormed off, Blake walked up holding a sandwich and said, "Dude, she looks like she's about to go full Fatal Attraction on you. Want me to have my cousin Vinny pay her a visit?" He smirked, but I'm like 80% sure he wasn't kidding. I just said, "Make sure Vinny brings cannoli." Eventually, Bailey escalated to email, the modern scroll of regret. She sent this long, meandering essay about how Brent, aka Tesla Guy, wasn't serious. That what we had was real. And this part killed me. How she just got scared. Scared of what? Stable relationships? Torque ratios? Loyalty? I didn't respond. I saved it, then deleted it. Because it wasn't an apology, it was a panic flare. The digital version of please ignore everything I did and focus on how sad I am now. Landon came over that weekend with a 6-pack of sugar-free energy drinks, read the email while crouched over my armrest, and shook his head like a disappointed dad. Classic, he muttered. She's not sorry she did it. She's sorry she got caught. We were knee-deep in this new battle royale game, shouting callouts and launching grenades like it was war and none of us had real jobs. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Opened it. It was a picture of Bailey, crying. Mascara running down her cheeks like she got waterboarded by her own eyeliner. Caption: "Look what you did to me." Before I could react, Blake grabbed my phone, typed, "New phone. Who this?" and hit send. Just straight up sent it with zero hesitation like it was a fire and forget missile. We laughed about that for days. Blake printed it out and taped it to my fridge like it was a piece of modern art. I thought that was the end. Seriously, I kept it professional at work. No drama. No gossip. She fired off one more half-baked apology email, probably typed while crying into a glass of cheap white wine, and I ignored it. Case closed, right? Wrong. Friday night rolls around, and I'm in my sanctuary, the garage. The Chevelle's halfway up on jack stands. I'm elbow deep in wire looms and connectors, and the playlist is running with some old-school rock and lo-fi mixed in. Real peaceful stuff. Like Zen, but with more grease and cursing. Landon was supposed to swing by with some parts. Blake said he might show up with snacks and chaos, as usual. Meanwhile, I was under the dash, trying to feed a wire through this tiny, infuriating hole behind the center console. Swearing under my breath because, fun fact, whoever designed this car back in 1969 clearly didn't anticipate some idiot in the future would want to install a Bluetooth-compatible stereo system. After a full hour of sweating, swearing, and nearly dislocating a shoulder, I finally got the new head unit mounted in place. It actually looked great. I took a moment, wiped my hands, and was just starting to connect everything, when my phone buzzed. Landon texted saying he was running late, classic, but he'd picked up the AUX adapter I needed. Finally, the one piece standing between me and Bluetooth greatness. I was halfway under the dash, wires everywhere, looking like a mechanic-turned-octopus, when I heard a car door slam outside, followed by pounding on my front door like it owed someone money. Then came the voice. "Coward," she screamed. "You made me look like a fool." Yep, that was Bailey. Full volume. Zero self-awareness. I froze mid-wire splice, hoping maybe if I didn't move she'd lose sight of me like a T-Rex in Jurassic Park. But nope, she was outside yelling, her voice echoing through the neighborhood like she was auditioning for a soap opera called Revenge of the Delusional. Lights started flipping on around the cul-de-sac like it was a reverse Christmas tree. And then, of course, Mrs. Jameson from next door popped out onto her porch in her bathrobe, gripping a cup of tea like it was popcorn. That woman lives for neighborhood drama. She once live-tweeted a raccoon getting into someone's trash. I didn't open the door. I didn't even respond. I just walked back into the garage and turned my music up to full blast. Like petty, don't engage the nonsense full blast. And for a while silence. Then smack. Followed by a noise that made my spine itch. Not a car backfiring. Not something falling. Just wrong. I bolted out the side door and made it just in time to see her speeding off, tires screeching like a fast and furious reject. Then I saw it. The Chevelle. Sitting in the driveway like a war victim. Coffee dripping down the hood. A mangled drink cup on the ground. And then it. A freaking scratch. A deep, jagged scar slicing straight across the passenger door. Like some enraged velociraptor had tried to key a breakup poem into the paint. Clear coat. Gone. Paint. Shredded. My soul. Exiting the chat. I walked up slow, like maybe if I blinked enough it would disappear. Spoiler, it didn't. That wasn't just vandalism. That was sacrilege. I wasn't yelling. Wasn't crying. Wasn't even breathing, honestly. I just stood there, fists balled up like I was waiting to punch air, staring at the crime scene. This car wasn't just a car. I built it. I breathed life into it. I gave it CPR with my weekends and sanity for 5 straight years. And she came to my house, and keyed it because her little romance novel fantasy went up in smoke. Like that was somehow my fault. That's when Landon and Blake pulled up, their headlights catching the side of the Chevelle like a crime scene spotlight. Landon stepped out first, saw my face, then looked at the car. What the hell happened? He crouched down like a mechanic/coroner, examining the damage like it had a pulse. I didn't even turn. Just muttered, freaking Bailey happened. Blake walked up behind me, dead silent at first. Then, bro, she's gone full psycho. This is restraining order territory now. I exhaled and pointed. Look at this. I was pointing to the scratch. Do you even know how many hours I spent on this paint job? I said, voice tight, pointing at the devastation like it was a war crime. I wasn't exaggerating. I had to color match the original factory paint. None of that close enough, rattlekin nonsense. No, I found this guy in Michigan, some mystical automotive wizard who mixes paint by hand like it's a vintage wine. The man probably wears gloves and whispers to the pigments. 6 coats. Applied by yours truly. In a dust-free DIY tent I made from plastic sheeting and broken dreams. Landon crouched down, ran a finger along the damage like he was identifying a body. She got it good, he said grimly. Down to the metal in a few spots. That's when it hit me. My phone. I blurted, practically leaping over a socket wrench. Please tell me it caught everything. I sprinted back into the garage like I was chasing a winning lottery ticket, flipped on the security system monitor, and boom, paid dirt. Best $200 I ever spent. Bought it last year after someone tried to break into my neighbor Doug's place. Caught a raccoon flipping Doug off on night vision once. Totally worth it. And now? Oh man. Bailey. On. Full. Display. Face. Car. Coffee. Key. Chaos. It was all there, like a Netflix true crime special. Only she was the criminal, and the victim was a poor defenseless Chevelle. Even better? That dumbass looked right at the camera, and I mean directly, as she took out the house key I'd never asked for back, rookie mistake, and dragged it along the paint like she was signing her name on my soul. Blake leaned over my shoulder and let out a whistle. Holy crap, he muttered. She straight up keyed your car on camera. That's like criminal stupidity. Like gift-wrapped confession stupid. 1080p, night vision, multiple angles. If it had slow-mo, I'd have edited it into a music video. So I did what any man whose vintage car had just been assaulted on camera would do. I called the cops. Responding officer showed up and barely needed 5 minutes of footage before he just nodded and went. Yeah, she's gonna have a bad week. He stood there with his little notepad while Bailey's Oscar-winning tantrum played on loop behind him. Classic vandalism, he said, scribbling notes. Open and shut. We'll send someone to pick her up in the morning. Then, this part actually hurt a bit. He whistled when he saw the Chevelle. 1969, he asked. I nodded. He shook his head slowly, like he was at a funeral. Damn shame. You don't see him in this condition anymore. He took photos of the damage like it was evidence from a crime scene. Which, to be fair, it was, and had me fill out the usual forms. Told me to follow up with the prosecutor's office once the arrest report was filed. Now, this is where Blake shines. Guy's got a weird network. He knows a guy who knows a guy who probably used to run a speakeasy. My cousin used this lawyer once, Blake explained. Neighbor cut down his prize oak tree. Lawyer got him 3 times the tree's value and made the guy plant a new one. Dude doesn't mess around. I didn't even hesitate. I called the lawyer first thing Monday morning. Dude sounded like he'd been chewing gravel for breakfast and suing people for lunch. He listened patiently as I laid everything out. Bailey, the bar stunt, the coffee-baptized Chevelle, the key scratch of doom. When I told him I had video evidence, he just chuckled. That's a slam dunk, kid. Criminal vandalism and a civil case for damages? Textbook. Then he got serious. Keep that video. Make backups. Multiple backups. Store one in the cloud, one on a hard drive, and one in a lead-lined vault guarded by monks, just in case. Lawyer advice is weirdly intense. Anyway, next stop. HR. I typed up the most professional email of my life. Subject line: formal complaint regarding false accusations and property damage. I CC'd our department lead. I CC'd HR. If I could have CC'd Karma, I would have. I explained everything. How a co-worker had falsely accused me in public, then escalated by damaging my personal property. How I had both a police report and security footage to back it all up. I didn't rant. I didn't editorialize. I just let the evidence talk. I attached the video footage, photos of the damage, the police report, screenshots of her texts from 3 different random numbers after I blocked her. One especially ironic message where she said, "I'm not crazy. You just made me act that way." By Monday afternoon, Bailey was gone. No announcement. No memo. Just vanished. Her desk cleared. Access badge deactivated. Like Thanos, snapped her out of the org chart. Apparently, according to office legend, she'd shown up that morning like it was just another day in HR paradise. Security had to walk her out. My buddy from IT, who handles the conference room A/V, told me the best part. HR sat her down, played the keying footage on the big conference room TV, full screen, and then just stared at her like, "You got anything else to add?" According to him, she started all smug with her usual, "He's obsessed with me" routine, and then within 30 seconds went from mean girl to sad raccoon being walked to her car with a box of succulents and a framed photo of her dog. And like a persistent horror movie villain, she still wasn't done. She tried again. New number. New fake apologies. Once, she even showed up by accident in the lobby and got escorted out like she was trying to sneak into Coachella with a fake wristband. And then came the text that truly broke the irony meter. From yet another unknown number. "I'm sorry about your car, but you humiliated me in front of everyone." I didn't even reply to that last text. Just forwarded it straight to my lawyer, added a subject line that said, "More gold for the folder," and kept it moving. 2 weeks after filing the police report, I got the call. It was the detective assigned to the case. Gruff voice, no-nonsense tone, probably moonlights as a tired dad. "We've filed formal charges, criminal mischief and vandalism," he said. She was arrested, processed, and released on her own recognizance. Court set for next month. I said, "Thanks, detective," and then immediately told Landon and Blake, who both offered to bake a cake with congrats on the charges and frosting. Meanwhile, my lawyer was on his game. Filed the civil suit for damages without breaking stride. The man moves like an expensive assassin in a 3-piece suit. We had everything. An itemized repair estimate, invoice from the detail shop, custom paint cost, labor hours. Even compensation for loss of use while the Chevelle was off the road, which my lawyer called emotional distress in automotive form. Then came small claims court. Let me tell you something. Courtrooms smell like carpet cleaner and disappointment. I came prepped like it was a final exam. Receipts? Check. Photos? Check. Detail shop invoice? Check. 3 different USB drives with the security footage? Check, check, and check. I even labeled one Exhibit A. Bailey being a menace just for fun. Blake and Landon showed up too. Support crew in full sarcasm mode. Blake wore a tie, just to look legit, and whispered, "I object," every time Bailey made a face. When it was our turn, the judge didn't need long. Bailey tried to play the "he stalked me" card again, but the judge, this stone-faced woman who looked like she'd seen every lie known to mankind, just raised an eyebrow and held up the printed stills from the security cam footage. "Is this you keying his car after trespassing on his property?" she asked. Bailey fumbled, mumbled something about emotional reaction, tried to turn it around by saying I emotionally abused her by humiliating her at the bar. The judge tilted her head like a disappointed aunt and replied, "So your response to alleged embarrassment was to commit felony-level vandalism. That's like someone cutting you off in traffic, so you followed them home and slashed their tires." Even Blake held back a laugh. Verdict: $3,200 in damages, plus court costs. When Bailey whined that she couldn't afford it, the judge didn't flinch. "Then you'll pay $500 a month until it's done," she said, dry as toast. "With interest." On the way out, Bailey tried one last scene in the parking lot. This isn't fair, she snapped. You're ruining my life over a stupid scratch. I looked at her dead in the eyes and replied, Yep, this is what happens when you touch my car. Get lost. Then I slid into the Chevelle like it was a movie trailer, fired up the engine, and peeled off with zero regrets and a flawless exhaust note. Later that night, I got an email. Subject line, I hope you're happy. Inside, just a screenshot of her bank account, showing the first $500 payment to me. I didn't reply to that email, of course. But yeah, I was pretty damn happy. That screenshot of her bank account was the most satisfying thing I'd seen since my Chevelle's paint dried. That was months ago. Since then, life's been solid. No girlfriend. No crying texts. No fake it wasn't like that DMs. Just me, my car, and an aggressively stable amount of peace and quiet. Work's been good, too. The campaign I was grinding when all that chaos started? Crushed. It landed like a fireball. Got me a raise, a promotion, and an office with an actual door that closes. You'd think I'd been knighted or something. Now I manage 5 people. I call them my Team Rocket behind their backs because half the time they're blasting off again on the wrong deliverables. But hey, they try. More remote hours, fewer sad desk lunches where I awkwardly forked leftover pasta while someone warmed up fish in the break room microwave. I can eat in peace now. I've even been eating salads voluntarily. Personal growth. And the pay bump? Okay, not billionaire yacht club money, but enough to finally justify hitting checkout on the parts that had been sitting in my online cart since Obama's second term. First paycheck hit. I stared at that number and whispered, You beautiful creature, you. Then I did what any responsible adult would do. Dropped a chunk of it directly into the Chevelle. New sound system. Reupholstered leather. Full interior detail. And, the holy grail, ceramic coating. If you've never ceramic coated your ride, I'll explain it in plain English. Water fears me now. Rain hits the Chevelle and just runs for its life. Minor scratches? Buffed out like a bad Tinder date. And the paint? The midnight blue looks so deep, I'm tempted to throw a coin in and make a wish. Then Landon came over one weekend with a 6-pack, a toolbox, and that let's break something expensive grin. We installed a better carb, new intake manifold, and a performance chip that added about 15% more horsepower. She purrs now. Well, more like growls with authority, but you get the idea. We took her out for a celebratory rip on the stretch of empty highway past the industrial district. Hit 110 miles per hour. Backed off only because a squirrel crossed the road like it was checking its 401k. Blake was in the passenger seat, holding my phone. The video he got? Pure gold. You hear the roar of the engine, and over it, Blake yelling, Holy crap, dude, like he just saw Jesus in the clouds. We posted it online. Car guys started flooding the comments like, Build specs, bro. What headers you running? I would sell my family for that sound. That weekend, we hit a classic car show a couple towns over. I rolled in early and parked the Chevelle next to a row of Camaros and Mustangs, all shiny and growling like they had something to prove. But by the end of the day, trophy in hand, best in class. The show organizer was this grizzled old guy with a beard that had seen 3 wars and 1,000 engine swaps. He walked up to my car, didn't say a word for like 10 minutes, just slowly circled it like it was a sacred artifact. Then he leaned over and spent 20 solid minutes looking over my engine bay, nodding approvingly. You don't see craftsmanship like this much anymore, the old guy muttered, handing me the trophy like he was knighting me with a chrome-plated wrench. I half expected him to salute the Chevelle. Felt good, not gonna lie. So I went home and rewarded myself the only way a grown man with no girlfriend and expendable income does. I upgraded my gaming setup. New GPU, new headset, monitor so wide it practically wraps around the room. Me, Landon, and Blake started grinding this new battle royale. No Bailey, no chaos, just trash talk, cracked knuckles, and grown men yelling at pixels like our mortgages depended on it. Last week, Blake pulled off this ridiculous 1v4 in the final circle. Dude was down to like 2 health bars and a dream. He clutched it, screamed like he just got drafted into the NFL. Landon knocked over a chair. I spilled Red Bull on my sock. The neighbors probably thought someone got murdered. And then, one day, I walk into this little indie coffee shop downtown. Hipster Central, plants in jars, the whole we only use beans blessed by Monk's vibe. And there he is. Brent. Tesla guy. We locked eyes. For a second, I braced myself for some passive-aggressive line or one of those smug rich guy chuckles. But nah, he walked right over. No hesitation. Hey man, he said. Just wanted to say thanks. You saved me a headache. Wait, what? Turns out she'd been seeing him for over a month before that fateful rooftop bar night. Told him she was single. Played innocent. The usual greatest hits of gaslighting, Bailey edition. She had this whole other persona with me, Brent said, shaking his head. Told me she was taking MBA classes. Said she didn't play games and wanted something serious. I snorted into my overpriced cappuccino. Bro, she was playing more games than my Steam library. We actually ended up exchanging numbers. Turns out he's really into classic cars. His dad has a '67 Mustang they restored together. Respect. Now we're meeting up at a car show next month. Funny how the universe throws out the trash and hands you a wrench buddy instead. He texted me last weekend. Some car meet out in an industrial park on the edge of town. Bunch of exotics, muscle, imports, the whole lineup. Took the shovel out there, parked next to his buddy's Porsche that looked like it had a TikTok account. And yet, people kept coming over to check out my ride, ignoring the $200,000 midlife crisis machines. That's the thing about classics. They've got soul. Money can buy carbon fiber, but not character. Lately I've been hanging out with a new crowd, too. Found this car club that meets every other Saturday at this greasy, echoey garage near the train tracks. A bunch of guys who actually work on their own vehicles, instead of just talking about them. First time I pulled the shovel into that garage, I swear the whole club stopped like I'd just driven in with Beyoncé riding shotgun. They all just kind of circled around the car like a bunch of priests about to perform a blessing. 3 hours straight of nothing but gearhead gospel, compression ratios, valve timing, headers, carburetor swaps. Nobody asked what I did for work. Nobody cared about my salary or how many followers I had. It was just, who tuned your suspension? What heads are you running? You do the paint yourself. My kind of people. The vibe was immaculate. Then, last weekend, Blake's girlfriend brought her friend Savannah to our monthly poker night. I braced for the usual. How long does this take? Or do you guys always yell this much? Nope. Homegirl sat down, shuffled like a pro, took $40 off me, and didn't blink. Didn't even flinch when Blake opened a bag of off-brand cheese puffs that turned everyone's fingers radioactive orange. She even complimented the chips and dip dinner setup. This is actually better than half the dates I've been on, she said, eating salsa like it was fine dining. We exchanged numbers after the game. Might grab dinner next week. No pressure, no expectations, no insane exes lurking in the bushes with coffee and a house key. Anyway, fast forward a few nights. We're at Landon's place for our usual game night, controllers in hand, trash talk flying, Blake mid-rant about his terrible aim, and someone casually drops Bailey's name. I actually had to pause for a second like, wait, who? Apparently, she's been posting cryptic nonsense online. Some people will get what they deserve. Karma's real. Beware the quiet ones. You know, basic villain origin story captions. Honestly, couldn't care less. While she's out there still making monthly payments on my car repair fund, I'm cruising in a ceramic-coated, engine-tuned, bass-thumping dream machine, living like a man who pays extra for guac and doesn't blink. Some days I think about that night at the bar, how it could have gone sideways, how I could have yelled, gotten dragged out by security, begged like some sad sitcom character who doesn't know the season's already canceled. But nah, I went full Uno reverse. Let the facts do the talking. And when she came back screaming, hoping for fireworks, I gave her silence and a police report. I didn't go low. I went legal. I didn't scream. I hit her with a high-def zoom and court dates. She thought she was playing checkers. I played 4K chess. So yeah, if there's a moral to this twisted little soap opera, it's simple. Document everything. Install security cameras. Back up your backups. And for the love of V8 engines, never date a girl who thinks a Chevy like mine is too old school. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.